Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session that was created for a very successful woman that was going through a very uncertain time. And because of all of the elements of uncertainty, that was facilitating a feeling of extreme overwhelm, burnt out, anxiety. So what you're going to hear in this particular hypnosis session is an element of reconnecting her with resources that she had at a different period in her life. So because she was so successful, there was many different references in her life of her being able to go through other times that were equally uncertain, and yet she got through that. And she got through that because she had a belief in her own abilities to solve problems and that things would work out okay. So you're going to hear an element of reconnecting with resourceful states like courage, like resourcefulness, like resilience, but equally creating a metaphor that uncertainty is a bit like a storm, and that all storms are temporary, and that you can become stronger psychologically by not being afraid of the storm and actually realizing that those people that run away from the storm tend to run away from lots of other things as well. Those people that seek out the storms generally have more inner conviction and belief and strength in their own life. So it uses this metaphor of a storm to highlight that it is temporary and survivable, but equally that in the big scheme of things, it's not as big as it may seem in the moment. And that's where the metaphor of a storm in a teacup comes from in this particular hypnosis session, to say, well, look, yes, a storm represents uncertainty, but the majority of anyone's life has more certainty in it than uncertainty. So there's a way of positioning that in a way that becomes more useful. Obviously, this particular session was created for someone else. If you're listening to this and maybe you're dealing with stress, overwhelm, feeling burnt out, or severe anxiety, there will be a link nearby where you can book a free 30-minute consultation call, and I can explain how I would work with you as an individual. But you might find that this session is actually quite useful anyway, even though it was created for someone else. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation, and as you exhale, just get a sense that tension is leaving your eyelids so that your eyes can now completely close. And with your eyes closed, you can give more of your attention to the sound of my voice. Breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation and feeling like you're exhaling tension. That's it, breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, and then just allowing that tension to leave your body in your outward breath. Enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed now. And as your body relaxes, I want you to notice that your imagination becomes more active. And you know this to be true because there's been times in your life where you felt very serene, very relaxed. And your imagination all by itself came up with amazing ideas and dreams and visions completely effortlessly. And I want you to recall a time from your childhood that you were in a place of tranquility and relaxation. Perhaps a place where you can imagine looking out on the water, perhaps seeing the sunset. And I want you to imagine that somewhere in that place, the place that you can recall from your childhood, you're there as an adult, but there is a very comfortable chair in that place. Imagine placing yourself in that comfortable chair and looking out across the water. Perhaps noticing the way that the colours of the sunset shimmer off the surface of the water. And I want you to get a sense that you're going deeper and deeper, relaxed. Continuing to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose, and use the power of your imagination while you imagine sitting there on a comfortable chair looking out across the water, that you're breathing in a bright, vibrant colour that represents resourcefulness. Imagine breathing in this bright, vibrant colour going in through your nose and filling your body with this source of bright, intense warmth and light. And as you exhale, I want you to get a sense that you can notice that the colour that leaves your body is perhaps greyer or darker, representing tension, stress, anxiety and worries that are now leaving your body in your outward breath. And therefore, just by breathing in and breathing out, I want you to imagine this is almost like an energy transfusion. Your body is filling up with this feeling of resourcefulness and exhaling those emotional states that aren't serving you right now. In this moment, in this tranquil place, you don't need tension, so allow that tension to go. You don't need worries here, so allow the worries to go. Here, perhaps, in this part of the world, as you look out, stress is not necessary here. So as you exhale, feel that stress leave your body and notice that your arms and legs are getting heavier. Your breathing is getting effortless. Any tension in your neck and your shoulders is melting away. And I want you to get a sense that you're feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. As you look out onto the water, in the distance I want you to see a storm. You can see the storm clouds, maybe even a flash of lightning. You can hear the thunder very far off in the distance. There is no thunderstorm on you right now, but you know it's there in the distance, and you get a sense that it's traveling towards you. I want you to get a sense that in your life you've faced many storms. And sometimes you've chosen to walk directly towards the storm. I want you to get a sense that in the past you trusted yourself, that not only you could walk through the storm, but that you would come out the storm stronger than when you went in. And if that's true, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to get a sense that most people run away from the storms, but time and time again, you've made choices that increase the probability of storms, because you know that facing a storm requires courage. And sometimes the storm means that there is feelings of discomfort, the cold, the wet, and yet, time after time, you've been willing to walk towards the storm. And what if truth is more important than temporary discomfort? There's been times in your life you've been caught in the rain and perhaps wasn't desirable, but the rain didn't stay on you forever. A nice cozy warm towel and it was almost all gone. And I want you to get a sense that this storm is one of many possible storms. And I want you to feel that you are unlocking the resources of courage to be willing to walk towards the storm, but also a feeling of resilience that you can get through the storm. As you continue to breathe in and breathe out, feel deeper and deeper relaxed, arms getting heavier, limber, looser. And I want you to recall a time in your life where you made a decision that guaranteed uncertainty. And when you can recall a time like that, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to climb back inside that body at the very point where you made that decision. And knowing that uncertainty was guaranteed from the decision meant that courage needed to be there. And I want you to scan your body for where you feel that courage and just point to that location. Just imagine it as a three-dimensional shape there in that location. Perhaps a pyramid, a cube, a sphere. Decide on the color in that location and just make that three-dimensional shape bigger. Whatever color it is, make it brighter until it starts to glow. And I want you to get a sense that the courage was there back then. And it feels like it's there now. I want you to attach a sound to that location of courage. Could be a rhythm, a phrase. Perhaps just a statement that you say to yourself with absolute conviction, I'll get through this. I'm going to make it work. I will make it work. And notice that that feeling of courage there in that location doesn't just enable you to make a decision, but it gives you the fuel to get through whatever the consequences are of that decision. You said to yourself, you'll make it work. And you did make it work. And sometimes in life, we don't realize how resourceful we are until circumstances come along to test our resourcefulness. And the easy thing to do is to run away. The easy thing to do is to avoid the consequences of a big decision. But not everyone is wired that way. Some people have such conviction in their decisions and their truth that they create their own fuel. These people can never run out of steam because they are the fuel for the steam. They can't be burnt out because their own values, their own truth, creates an infinite supply of more fuel. I want you to get a sense that you are unlocking the resources to convert your values into more fuel. Perhaps you can imagine an old-fashioned steam train. Perhaps imagine that steam train just running out of steam, and then imagine that you are in the engine room of that train. And every time you think about your values, integrity, truth, doing the right thing, you manifest all the fuel you need to put into that steam engine, so that steam train has more than enough steam to keep on going. You know where courage is. I want you to also remember that time after you made that decision where there was a choice to stay where you are or to return. Find yourself in that body where you chose to do the tougher thing, the thing that required more resources. When you're back in that version of you, let me know by nodding your head. And then scan your body for where you feel that feeling of resourcefulness, and just point to where your intuition thinks it might be. I want you to imagine a different three-dimensional shape right there in that location. Decide on the color. Place it there, make that shape bigger, make the color brighter until it starts to glow, and then notice if it's spinning or moving in a particular way. And if it is, just increase the speed at which it feels like it's moving until you feel more resourceful than you felt in a long time. I want you to get a sense that your life is evidence of how resourceful you are. And this is just a temporary moment in your life that requires more resources than usual. I want you to say inside your own head, bring it on. I'm ready. The bigger the challenge, the more resourceful I become. You know that you do your best. But sometimes we need the demands to increase so that the resources increase even more. There's a reason that most world records are won in the biggest events. As the demands get higher, the resources get even higher still. And I want you to get a sense that when the going gets tough, you become more resourceful, more resilient, more able to zoom out of your life and see the big picture. And the big picture is that many years from now, you will look back at this period in your life as a great source of pride. There was the easy road and the hard road, and you took the harder road. There was the ability to compromise between truth and perhaps convenience, and you chose truth in that moment. You knew there was a storm, and you still chose to pursue that storm. I want you to get a sense that when you really zoom out, isn't the important thing that you did the right thing? And perhaps the right thing is just living by your values. By living by your values, you have the infinite ability to create as much fuel as you need to deal with whatever the implications are of your choices. Because your intuition wouldn't have allowed you to have said yes to something if it didn't believe you had the resources to then deliver on that thing. I want your unconscious mind to update your belief systems to now realize that you have the resources to exceed the demands in your life. As the demands increase, you just become more resourceful. As you breathe in and breathe out, nod your head as you accept that belief to be true. That's right. I want you to imagine that you find yourself back there on that comfortable chair looking out at the storm. Imagine the storm is getting closer, but as the storm gets closer, I want you to see that it gets smaller and smaller. I want you to imagine that nearby there is a table next to that chair. And in that table is a cup of tea. And as that violent storm gets closer and closer, it gets smaller and smaller until you can see those rain clouds and lightning just there, about 2 inches above the surface of the tea in that teacup. And I want you to get a sense that sometimes what feels like a big storm is actually a smaller part of your life. And I want you to accept that more than 90% of your life has certainty. That things are the way that things are. The people that love you will still love you. The things you like, you still like. That you are still who you are. You believe what you believe. And therefore, almost everything in your life is just as certain as it was before. But this temporary storm can feel bigger than it is because it represents uncertainty. But shrink that uncertainty down. Place it there above that teacup and just get a sense that your resources exceed that uncertainty. And when you believe that to be true, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to feel that courage, feel that resourcefulness, and know you're going to make it work. Know that you'll get through this. You know there's been times in your life that you've had experiences and you did get through it. And this is no different. That your truth and your integrity will give you the fuel that you need to make it work. It's now time to leave this place. Find yourself back in the present, listening to my voice. And very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, but you will awaken feeling highly resourceful. Feeling that the demands on you are lower than your resources. Feeling that the uncertainty is a low percentage of the big picture of what is your life. You will awaken with courage, with a fuel of values that is powering your energy to get you through any tough times, but also the ability to have perspective. Perspective that in the big picture, this is a small, significant chapter that will be a source of pride. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're in your own physical body, firmly in the present right now. As I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.